on venture capital, private equity, food technology, blockchain, and public markets. What I'd like to talk to you today about is a couple different things. One is food technology. Two is food sustainability. And three, most importantly, how to attract capital to be able to deploy these technologies on a global basis. The food technology market is currently one of the largest and fastest growing markets in the world today. It's currently a $172 billion global market. It's expected to reach $350 billion in just 5 years. So the growth is there, the opportunities are abundant within this market, and with the right technologies and access to capital, I think there will be vast opportunities not only to make money, but to change the world in a significant way. Today, I'd like to talk to you about a topic that affects each and every one of us each and every day, food. More specifically, I want to discuss the exciting intersection of food technology and food sustainability and how it's shaping the future of our food systems. The current state of our food systems, our current food system is facing unprecedented challenges. We currently have 870 million people that go underfed each and every day. At the same time, we must address a population that is expected to reach 9.7 billion people by 2050. We must address critical issues such as climate change, resource depletion, food waste, and our traditional methods of food production, distribution, and consumption are plainly just not sustainable. The role of food technology. This is where food technology comes into play. Food technology is revolutionizing the way we produce, distribute, and consume food. And let me highlight a few of the key areas. The areas that we're going to be covering is precision agriculture, indoor farming, alternative proteins, and food tracking and traceability. Precision farming through the advanced technologies of AI, satellites, sensors, and drones. We can optimize crop yields, reduce water usage, minimize pesticide use. This not only boosts productivity, but also reduces the environmental impact on agriculture. B, indoor farming. Indoor farming is one of the fastest growing sectors of the market today. It's a relatively new industry. It's gaining significant traction on a global basis. The advantages of indoor farming is that you can farm year-round. It takes significantly less square footage to farm. It drastically reduces the use of chemical use and pesticide use. It uses 90% less water and natural resources, reduces the transportation costs of shipping products to market, and provides new employment opportunities for the urban settings where they're located. C is alternative proteins. This is an area that I have a significant amount of expertise in. I've been involved in this sector of the market for a little bit over a decade. The rise of plant-based and lab-grown proteins is transforming our diets. These alternatives are not only more sustainable, but they provide healthier options and reduce the carbon footprint. In fact, alternative proteins can be produced at about 70% less cost than animal proteins. They use 90% less resources, which means energy, water, and land. And D, food tracking and traceability. Blockchain technology is being used to improve the traceability of food products. Consumers can now trace the journey of their food from farm to fork. This is ensuring food safety and reducing waste. Now, I'm going to move on to food sustainability. Food sustainability, food tech alone is not going to be the answer to the problem today. We must also focus on food sustainability. And here are some of the crucial aspects of what needs to be done. Reducing food waste is critically important. Roughly 1/3 of all the food grown globally goes wasted. We need to implement strategies and reduce this waste from better storage and distribution to consumer education. Sustainable sourcing is also very important. It's ensuring that our food comes from sustainable sources is vital. Supporting local and organic agriculture, as well as fair trade practices, can make a significant difference. And then climate-friendly practices. Sustainable farming practices such as regenerative agriculture help sequester carbon in the soil, combat deforestation, and reduce greenhouse gases. Currently, 30% of all greenhouse gases are produced through farming, and this has to be reduced significantly. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about how to attract capital to be able to deploy food technologies and sustainable technologies in the market today. It is critically important to be able to attract capital, to be able to deploy these technologies to have any type of significant difference in this world. And there's a direct correlation between your ability to be able to attract capital and your ability to be able to grow and become successful in these market sectors. Now, in Southeast Asia, from my experience, it has been relatively easy to raise capital for a startup, either through seed financing or through government grants. But the real challenges lie in receiving the next rounds of financing for growth, which we call A and B financing. And typically, the reason why that this is such a challenging part of the market is that historically, the investors in Southeast Asia that have invested in A and B rounds, they have not seen significant profits from these investments. And mostly this is due to the fact that when you go public in Southeast Asia on one of the regional exchanges, let's say the Singapore Exchange, the Malaysian Exchange, or the Hong Kong Exchange, this is where small companies go to suffer and die. They receive very, very little attention. They get very, very, very little support. And most importantly, they attract very little amounts of capital. Opposed to the US markets, to where that it is relatively easy to raise capital for seed rounds, for A rounds, for B rounds, and companies in the US typically go public earlier and raise significant amounts of money that way as well. So if you're a US company and you invest, or you're a US investor and you invest in a company, let's say at $1 to $3 a share, and then the company goes public at $7 to $10 a share, not only have you made a significant amount of capital, but that capital is now liquid. And that liquid capital those profits and that liquid capital can now be reinvested into more early stage companies. So it is a circle of success that repeats itself over and over and over again. And that's the reason why it's been such a successful business model for attracting capital. So my recommendation to companies in Southeast Asia is to go public early, list on one of the US exchanges, the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ Exchange. These are the biggest markets in the world. They're the most liquid markets in the world. They have the greatest audience of investors that are interested in early stage companies. And it's a place to where that you can receive attention, support, and you can attract large amounts of capital. Now, a lot of people think that, well, you have to be some big company to go public on, in the U.S. or on the NASDAQ, and it's just not true. The NASDAQ has 3 tiers to where that you can go public on. One is the national market. Number 2 is the small cap market. Number 3 is the OTCQB, which is for much smaller companies. And the criteria for being able to go public in these markets is basically there's a couple of boxes that you need to be able to check. One is that you need an excellent management team with a track record of success. Number 2 is that you've had to previously raised some capital, deployed that capital, so the investors can see exactly how you've deployed that capital and that you were good stewards of the investment capital that was brought in previously. 3 is fair valuations. I mean, companies, obviously they need to know what the value of the company is, that they're investing in, and they need to know that it's a fair valuation that they're going into. So the solution to this problem, which I believe the solution to this problem, and the reason why I'm speaking here today, is that Click IPO offers a solution to the issue of taking Southeast Asian companies public onto the U.S. stock exchange. Click IPO is an investment bank and a securities firm, a registered investment bank and securities firm in the United States. We have developed a technology platform that we aggregate millions of investors from 40 countries around the world onto this platform. And it represents billions of dollars in capital that potentially can go into on our platform. Currently, we have 5 million investors on our platform. By the end of this year, we'll have 10 million. And we expect that we will have over 30 million investors by mid-next year. And this represents billions and billions of dollars in investment capital. The second is that we have conducted over 370 offerings to date. We've been doing this for 7 years now. We're absolute experts and pros at what we do. And third is we also have investment banking partnerships or distribution agreements with 52 of the largest investment banks in the United States that we partner with to take companies public. These are some of the largest to the smallest, like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, all the way down to the small regional investment banks. So we have 5 million investors, we have conducted 370 offerings, and we have over 52 investment banking distribution or distribution agreements with other investment banks. And the reason why you want to use Click IPO is a couple things. Not only for the reasons why we've already discussed, which is that we have a large audience, but number 2 is that you can go public faster utilizing Click IPO than going public on a regional exchange. And also, it gives you more access to private money. If private investors know that you have a strategic plan in place to go public in 6 months or 18 months, it's easier for an investor to make an investment today knowing that their investment may go from $1 or $3 to $5 to $10 within a short period of time, and that money will become liquid. And what's important for Southeast Asia is that once that money becomes liquid and the profits are reaped, that provides more capital to be able to reinvest into early stage companies. So at the end of the day, what we're really doing here is we're democratizing the IPO markets for individual investors and for companies. Historically, the IPO markets have been strictly for large institutional investors. Less than 1% of individual investors get to participate in IPOs. With the Click IPO technology platform, since we represent billions of dollars, we get a seat at the table to be able to get allocations for individual investors into these IPOs, as well as that we can leverage our investor base to be able to fund IPOs for earlier stage companies. It helps brand these companies in front of 5 million investors, and it helps the company, once they do go public, have a wide investor base to be able to report news into. So at the end of the day, the strategy is to attract capital easier and faster. But in conclusion, the future of food is bright. By harnessing the power of food technology and embracing sustainable practices, we can create a world where food is abundant, nutritious, and environmentally friendly. But it requires a collective effort and capital. Food tech and food sustainability are not just buzzwords. They are the keys to a better future. We have the tools, knowledge, responsibility to reshape our food system for the benefit of our planet and future generations. By supporting innovation, practicing responsible consumption, and demanding sustainable practices, we can ensure a brighter future for all. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dennis O'Neill. If you have any questions, I'll be around the conference for the next couple of days.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis O'Neill, for that insightful conversation. And I think one aspect that he tapped on really actually got me going is the fact that there's a lot of food wastage going on. And I think it's one of the important points that we need to tap into and ask ourselves, how do we reduce that to be able to create a wider variety of food for people? As we know, in the rural areas, people are actually literally starving. So if we can bridge that gap with wastage of food as such, I think we will definitely create milestones and be able to bridge the gap of food security as well. On to our next speaker. We have Mr. Maud Amin bin Mohdeen. He's the head of digital platforms and innovation at Maxis Broadband Berhad, Malaysia. Mr. Mohammed Amin has 12 years of software development experience and 7 years of specializing in telecoms. Mr. Maud Amin bin Mohdeen, are you here? Thank you so much. Let's put it together for Mr. Mohad.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning to distinguished delegates. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to give a short speech around, talk around smart agriculture. So I'm Amin from Maxis. I head up digital platforms and innovation. So one of the areas that I work on is on IoT. And in IoT, we do a few set of items, and smart manufacturing is, smart agriculture is one of it. So, can you get the clip? Okay. So I think a few stats. We expect when we do research around agriculture and food security, 2050, we look at 9.7 billion people that needs to be, there will be, that's the population of the world. That's 2 billion more than what we have today. Agriculture needs to increase productivity by 70% to feed additional 2 billion people. Now, and to do energy, to do agriculture today, 30%, it takes up 30% of energy usage of, total energy usage. So 30% of energy is actually being used for food technology, from production to distribution to actually consumption. Now, to Mr. Dennis' point just now, 1/3 of food wastage, food is wasted. That's a huge amount of savings that can be done if we can optimize that supply chain. Now, Maxis perspective, we support the My Digital initiative in terms of digitalization for agriculture. One of the items around there is around startups. So we aim to contribute to support the development and the setup of 5,000 startups in Malaysia by 2025. We are looking to uplift labor productivity, or to support the uplift of labor productivity by 30%. And this is by solutions that Maxis provides, from connectivity to and products. And to support the initiative around agriculture, 70% of, to increase food production by 70%, two ways to do it. One is actually using more resources to get it done, or using existing resources by increasing productivity by 70%. So that's one of the items that we're looking at in terms of supporting the increase of productivity by 70%. So now, from a solution perspective, smart agriculture, so we looked at it, and we did a review around this, right? So we looked at it, agriculture has a lot of, the value chain is quite big, from from seeds to growing, to monitoring, to harvesting, to then collecting into a distribution channel. From distribution channel, going into large wholesale retail markets, and then actually where users will actually buy, and then only to eat, right? So value chain is quite big. And from the perspective of digitalization, there's quite a few that we can do. So one is around sensors and telematics, which you see now today is starting to be quite widespread, to connectivity, getting the data out instead of having it batch. It's real time, so you can view your farm output, or actually the state of the farm in real time. I'll show you a few examples of what we've done. And then providing a dashboard and data analytics around it. So data analytics today is evolving to become a bit more autonomous. And then comes the solutions like autonomous tractors, even drones, putting pesticides and all that stuff. And most of that stuff today can start to be made autonomous. And then to support the processing analytics around it, we've got our cloud services that we join up together to support to develop. So we know that smart farming is a very cost-sensitive industry, which requires where it has to be reasonably. It can't be premium. It has to be done in a manner that is scalable, support a lot of sensors, and also manage a huge number of acreage. And it can't be that expensive too, because the value of the food sometimes is not. You can't do vehicles and all that stuff. It's a bit more cost-sensitive market. So using cloud and making it multi-tenanted and all that stuff will make it a bit more easier to manage cost. So our solution, so one solution that we've got is in terms of dashboard. So providing a single interface where farmers view their farm on a real-time platform, connected to devices. Then the devices are not fixed to a certain device is open. The ability for us to accept whether it's going to be every hour data or a minute, or even batch data, aggregating data from weather sources, market information, putting into a central platform, ability for the farmer to view it on web or on a mobile app, get alerts real time, say if it's going to rain heavily and something needs to be done, say covering an area of seedling. I mean, so that's some of the uses that the dashboard can do. So dashboard is one, but dashboard is one part of the whole ecosystem. So from the dashboard to connect to the farm, we provide the services for connectivity, 4G and now 5G services. To ensure that the network is always running, especially in plantations, which covers huge amount of areas, a cost-effective solution of network to make sure the land area is connected well. And then the fourth one is around microcontrollers. So the smarts to do some of the processing on the field, so to understand whether the temperature is okay or not, and triggering alerts rather than transferring data all the time. Building it to be reliable, working with partners for that, and then implementation of those services into a farm. So one of the examples we've got is fertigation. I'll show you a bit more examples around in a bit around hydroponic and all that stuff that we have in the lab. And then going back to the dashboard. So once you have the dashboard, it's not only about showing the information, but about ability to trigger the right action at the right time. So example, if moisture goes down, moisture goes down and becomes drier, and at that point of time that plant needs water, then it should trigger a pump to release water, so that there's enough moisture in. And once the moisture comes back up, stop the water. If it's a rainy season, you don't necessarily need to have water, sprinklers on all the time. You should be smart enough to detect moisture is enough and not spend any more water resources around it. And that helps us to save, or it helps businesses to save water, even fertilizers as well, especially because if you put NPK sensors and all that, and okay, it's roughly enough, don't have to add more. And then say putting cameras around the solutions, it shows that the quality of the crop, whether the leaf is curling or the leaf has changed color, and why. And based on the image of the leaf, we know what is the root cause. It could be sunlight is not enough, or a set of fertilizer that needs to be put in is not enough, and that goes and then you can take the right action. So all that then that's the part where data analytics becomes quite important for a farm. Now, from a farming solution, one thing which is a bit interesting or a bit challenging as well is the fact that different producers, different plants will have different set of requirements. As in, if we do say bok choy farming, or we do chili farming, right? The way the leaves will change will be different. If it curls up for a bok choy, it's going to be different. If it's chili, it's going to be different. The area of where chili plantation is going to need space is going to be different. If it's ginger, there's all different sort of models that needs to be which is very specific to a plant, so that we can be optimized. So I think the ability for the dashboard to support multiple models is critical for an efficient farming method. Now, so this was one of our first foray into agriculture. Not first foray, one of the forays that we had for agriculture, and this was more on high value crops. So we did together with MCMC 5G use case around farming. So we took a high value crop, which is durian. So durian is 1 kilo for Musang King will go up to 60, 70 ringgit a kilo. And what we found out, and to be honest, we are not experts around this. We get a farmer who's an expert who says the durian needs to be eaten within an hour or 30 minutes. And that gives you the best taste, which is tingly onto the tongue, and that has premium for it. So with a farm of 5 or 10 acres, for having a worker going around the farm finding fresh durian falling down is going to be time consuming. You need much more people. But the ability of what we do is essentially durian falls on the net. We know exactly there's 1 or 2 durians, and then trigger to the farmer on his app, this is the exact location where you go. So it's more of like a Google map for the farm, and it goes, collects, and delivers to the central area. And normally for this kind of solution, you put it into a farm which does agritourism. So you have visitors who are staying overnight, and in the morning they come and they get fresh durians. So this solution with an AI vision is quite easy for food security, right? So the ability for households to run their own farms, especially in community farms. So this one is a local suburb in KL, TTDI, where we wired up beds with sensors, provide a camera feed, and then overlay what the sensors are reporting on a visual board. And this was the example, take durians away. The sensor itself is mobile. Once you can move it around from one area to another area to monitor the land.